How much do we know about the voting software that we use? Namely, Dominion software. Voter fraud doesn't exist though, and it's rare. At least that's what the mainstream media wants you to believe. Just recently, a software glitch that moves 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden in the state of Michigan was just uncovered. The glitch was detected by the GOP and then corrected only after it was called out for irregularities in Antrim County, Michigan. So it's almost like you have to find these weird voter fraud, software glitches, point them out, get the media coverage, and then they get fixed. It's almost like policy and facts never rise to the top until we actually have a light shined on the problem. But this is the best part. The same software was used in a county was also used in 47 other counties. But don't take my word for it. Let's go straight over to Dominion's website and let's download the voting systems brochure. Well, sure enough, right here, it even shows Michigan as the #1 state utilizing this particular software, in addition to others like Arizona, Nevada, Texas, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, New York, etc. So I put my tech brain on and I download the user manual for this particular Dominion voting system. The name is called Democracy Suite 511. And as I learn how the voting is actually tabulated, I am realizing there are some peculiar features in these systems that allow vote tabulators to absolutely destroy the integrity of any election. Now stay with me. This is where it gets eerie. Now, I will preface this by saying there are a lot of interesting features in this voting software. It doesn't mean all precincts are using all of the features, but in theory, all of the features and capabilities are there. The most interesting features of this software have to do with how the ballot checking can be configured for a county or state. These are called outstat conditions. Now, what's an outstat condition? Well, don't get nervous. It's very simple. All this means is that a ballot must meet certain requirements before the software will accept the ballot. Otherwise, the ballot will not be tabulated and will be separated from the stack and set aside for someone else to manually review the ballot. Yes, you heard that right. So if someone on a ballot votes for, say, Biden and Trump, or they leave the ballot completely blank and don't vote for either candidate, then it can still go into a review process where it is reviewed manually by a human. This review process has a fancy name called adjudication. Now, adjudication just basically means that if for any reason the machine couldn't match a signature, or if the person, say, voted for both presidential candidates, or no presidential candidate at all, or God forbid they used the wrong ink when they filled out their ballot, then that ballot can be sent into a batch to be reviewed by an adjudicator. Which means that now a human gets to manually choose how the ballot should be cast, and for who or if the ballot should be cast at all. Now, voting for Biden or Trump is just one example, but this is called an outstat condition. In fact, there are approximately 23 different outstat conditions in this Dominion software that can trigger a ballot to be sent to adjudication. For example, overvoting, undervoting, write-ins, no write-ins, blank ballots, signatures don't match, ink not read on the scanner, even party preference, which I thought was interesting. What is that? As it states in the user manual, this condition indicates that a party preference rule violation was detected on the ballot. This occurs when the voter votes for one party in a party preference contest and then votes for another candidate in a different party. So I wonder how many people were registered as Democrat and voted Republican only to have their vote possibly adjudicated and then arbitrarily reviewed by someone else. Which means they can give arbitrary power and permissions to a group of adjudicators to determine how all these votes should be counted. This is scary, folks, for many reasons. Let's say you don't use the proper ink. Maybe you used a Sharpie when filling out your ballot, and it triggers one of these outstat conditions in the tabulator.
Explain one more time.
So the people that were in front of me, there were two people in front of me that used the Sharpie.
Yes.
That was given to them by the poll workers.
Yes.
It did not read their ballot.
Okay.
And they slid it in there twice. I used a pen.
Yep.
Took their Sharpie and threw it away.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my ballot.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my
So
ballot.
what they're doing is they're telling people to use the Sharpies. That way,
Yes.
those votes aren't counted.
Yes.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
So there was other people that were in there voting with their pens, and they literally went around and they were yanking pens out of their hands.
Yes, they tried to do that to me, and I took their Sharpie and I hid it because then they said, look for all the Sharpies that are not being used and take the Sharpies back. They had a bowl of pens behind them that they were not giving to people and only giving Sharpies out.
There we go.
Yes, we have seen our share of one-sided media-owned fact-checker propaganda trying to debunk this. But they're either willingly lying or just ignorant to how the hardware works, and they're missing the entire point. The ballot scanner may not reject your ballot. This is what the fact-checkers and the media are hanging on to debunk this possible fraud. But this is a straw man argument, and only partially true. What will happen is the ballot will be flagged, and as mentioned before, when the ballot is flagged for adjudication, what happens? It will then be sent to a batch for adjudicators to review. Once there, it is up for a review, a manual review, in which case they can reject the ballot or cast a vote for the candidate of their choice. So instead of the reliability of a non-biased computer system, there are 23 different ways a ballot can be sent for manual review and then overridden by humans. But surely they would never abuse that kind of power and try to purposefully get ballots to somehow fail the process.
It did not read their ballot,
Okay.
and they slid it in there twice. I used the pen,
Yep.
took their Sharpie and threw it away.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my ballot.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my
I find it very odd how all of these thrown out ballots and glitches only help one political party. I would like to believe that batched adjudicated ballots would be reviewed fairly in a nonpartisan way. But Democrats follow the rules. There's no cheating. Voter fraud is rare and doesn't exist. There's nothing to hide. Democrats also want a fair and transparent election. Or do they?
Okay, so someone will respond to you in writing or come down and talk to you?
No, I'm right here. You don't need to respond in writing.
Okay. Well, we will tell you.
I'll come with you.
When we evaluate.
Why don't we all talk about it? What do you need to
You've
evaluate?
talked. You're talking. There's nothing more to say at the moment.
Yeah, my name is Pam Bondi. I'm one of the president's lawyers.
Yes,
And
yes, I know who you are.
thank you for helping us or evaluating this. I mean, the order's pretty clear. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. What can you tell us what's unclear about it? You're a private lawyer and acting in the government
I'm a private lawyer who
capacity.
represents the city.
Great.
The city is evaluating it, and I can't tell you anything more than
They're
that.
evaluating a judge's order?
Yeah.
What?
And when they're ready to talk to you about it, they will. But I can assure you that they're not violating it under any...
The order is currently in effect.
They're not violating
You
the
guys
order
had
under any
8
interpretation.
attorneys. I think it was 8 attorneys entering your appearance on this. I don't understand why 8 attorneys need to evaluate this order. I did it all by myself.
Okay.
It says
We
that no
are-
later than 10:30 today, you're to follow the election code, and my people, my clients, representatives, are to be within 6 feet of the process.
We have read the order, and we are complying with the order, and we will discuss it with you in a bit. Okay?
The compliance is 6 feet.
What would non-compliance look like compared to this?
So a judge order gives the Trump campaign rights to observe vote counts, which went into effect by law at 10:30 a.m., and their attorneys are still reviewing the judge's order, 8 of them. Wouldn't you want a fair and transparent election? Would you want checks and balances for how a vote is counted? Why is it that there is so much secrecy in each of these Democrat-run swing states, and following the law is so difficult? Surely there's nothing wrong with equal transparency. As Americans, we should all want checks and balances to ensure we have a fair and legal and just election. I mean, this isn't a banana republic. So what is there to hide? Wake up, America. Dig deeper and see the big picture for what it is.